is your main event Marks podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Unhinged Radio Network Sports. I'm your first host, lifelong wrestling fan, former radio guy, cap dad, and the man who takes his justice hard. I am Troy, and with me, as always, is the main event collector and figure hunting warrior. He's the WWE Walking Wrestling Encyclopedia, and the Robert Roode to my Eric Young. It pays to be Greg. What's up, Greg?
Rude.
Bob Roode. I knew you were going to say it. So we're hopping back on the TNA 2007 train today, man, and this was a show. Yeah. That's about all I can say about it. I mean, not to give away things too early, but it happened. There were matches, and yeah.
I feel like we might have accidentally overhyped 2007 with TNA a little bit. We clearly said it was our favorite. We didn't say it was amazing.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to point that out now.
I got to go back and check some things out because I'm like, was this my favorite year after all? Maybe I'm getting my timelines mixed up.
Yeah, I still believe it's still my favorite. Just, we didn't review any impacts. That's the thing. That's where it was happening at. It was good shows.
Yeah. It's just there's been a lot of VKM here. There's the stuff going on this show here and some stuff yet to come that I'm just like, So, but anyway, we'll get into all of that here in just a moment. But let's get into this. But there's some news and notes to get into. We're starting off with some unfortunate deaths and some not so good news. But
be a staple of our pod.
Yeah, this it's not starting off good, but it'll pick up after a while. But before we get into all that here, time out here real quick to let you know that the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Swift Lifestyles. They are clean energy drinks and focus enhancers, great tasting vitamins, and big brain nootropics that are made and shipped from the USA. Go to swiftlifestyles.com and use our special promo code Main Event Marks, all one word, to get 15% off your order. It's Main Event Marks, all one word, to get 15% off your order at checkout. But now that we're done with that, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back on the other side of this, it's news and notes time, right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector. Get ready to rumble in your new Main Event Marks merchandise. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, masks, hats, stickers, pins, and much more on our Redbubble store. That's maineventmarks.redbubble.com. You can also pick up some awesome clothing items with the latest updated show graphics on our Bonfire store. That's bonfire.com/store/main event marks. Support your favorite retro wrestling podcast and pick up some cool swag on our Bonfire and Redbubble stores. That's maineventmarks.redbubble.com and bonfire.com/store/main event marks.
Hey gang, it's Commissioner Cooper of TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. Expert fantasy advice, free contests, leading expert medical and legal analysis, and most importantly, you. Interact with us on all social media platforms or check us out at tssfantasy.com. You can hear us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Check out the fun today and be a part of the most interactive fantasy show around. TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we are back. We're back. Real quick, we want to let you know that the Main Event Marks is sponsored by Shocked Energy. Shocked Energy is a healthier alternative to traditional energy drinks that gives the energy that gamers need while in a long session without skimping on their health. Their products come in a powder form and you mix them into water. You can either choose from green apple or watermelon You can also try both if you get their sample kit. Use our special link that is down in the podcast description, or you can simply go to shockedenergy.com at checkout. Use the promo code main event, all one word, to save 10% on your order. That's promo code main event, and you're going to save 10% at checkout. News and notes time before we get into the justice that is hard. This first story... This story actually takes place the day after the show, but it's a pretty big name that passed away, so I figured we'd talk about it here. Former pro wrestling star Bryan Adams, who's best known for his early 90s run as the character Crush in the WWF, was found dead on Monday at his home in Tampa at the age of 43. Investigators say that Adams' wife found him unconscious in bed Monday morning at the couple's home and called 911. Paramedics could not revive Adams, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. The incident report indicates that there were no visible signs of injury.
Man.
Yeah.
I had forgotten he passed away, honestly.
Yeah, I know when I found out he died, I was just like, wow, really? Like, he was one of them growing up. It was like, he wasn't one of them that obviously like got to a top level or anything like that necessarily, but as a kid, I always liked him.
Dude, go back and look. He was never out of a job for the most part.
Right? He was always in either WWF or WCW.
From Demolition Crush all the way to Chronic.
Yeah, right. And it's weird to think that he left WWF in '97 right after the Montreal Screwjob incident, because apparently he was pretty loyal to the Hart family, or I don't know if it's to the Hart family or Brett specifically.
It was definitely Brett. For sure, he walked out, because of Montreal.
Right. I know Mick Foley threatened to, and he lasted a whole 24 hours before showing back up to Raw.
I always found that funny. It's like WCW was hot, so it's not like he was avoiding the crap.
Yeah, right. Well, looking more into this, I guess, the medical examiner concluded that the cause of death was a result of mixing the painkiller buprenorphine, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, with the muscle relaxant, chorus, whatever, doesn't matter, and a couple sedatives. The coroner determined that the drugs in the system were individually at therapeutic levels, but their combination impeded his respiratory system enough to kill him. Man.
So he didn't really OD?
No, it looked like it was an accidental overdose. So, yeah, it was kind of like a...
Good, but
right.
He wasn't. What I'm saying, he wasn't abusing drugs that killed him.
Right. It was like in my eyes, it's kind of like the Heath Ledger kind of thing. Like, he didn't purposely OD. He just combined drugs that he shouldn't have. Prescription drugs that he shouldn't have, and that combo just wasn't good, and it took his life. Sucks, man. Yeah,
see how powerful a little freaking pill is, man.
Right. Yeah, and when you take too many things that are meant to calm you down and slow down certain, functions of your body, I mean, after a while, when enough stuff slows down to a certain point, your body just gives out. So that's
what happened to a good old joint.
Yeah. That's bad, man. It sucks. Another death that we'll have to talk about. This one is a bona fide legend in the business. Karl Gotch, an Olympic standout whose success in the pro ranks was limited only by his reluctance to adapt to the changing landscape of the industry, passed away on July 28th, a few days shy of his 83rd birthday in his hometown of Tampa, Florida. Which is...
I'm sorry, there's a lot of asterisks in there.
Yeah, right.
Wrestler here, but he wasn't a fan of this, but he. Okay.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not going to say it's not funny. It's a weird factoid that Bryan Adams was found dead in his home in Tampa, just days after Karl Gotch was found dead in his home in Tampa. A lot of wrestler deaths in Tampa around this time, I guess.
This is rough because, full disclosure, not to bring it down, like I told you, the night this pay-per-view aired that we're about to review, my dad died this day. So
oh, wow. Damn.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even watch this until, I think it was like later, a couple days later.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah, and,
good time.
and TNA didn't even bring you their best effort.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Man.
Well, to be fair, I think they copied.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, we tried our best. Like, did you though? Like, get back in there and try again.
At this point,
man.
we know that their best was pretty good. So yeah, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I know. Well, to wrap this one up with Gotch, though, he was born Carl Charles Istaz, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Carl Charles.
Yeah, I know that rolls off the tongue. He was born in 1924 in Antwerp, Belgium, of German and Hungarian ancestry. Gotch was an international star who was an icon in Japan, where he was regarded as the god of professional wrestling. Until JBL came along, that is.
I'm assuming when he was wrestling, there was no. I know his name. Inoki.
Yeah, no, not at that time. And Inoki came around in the 70s, I think. Yeah, so. Yeah,
because that's the guy of Japan.
Yeah, right. Baba and Inoki were the and I guess Ricky Dozan. Those are the three big uns. Why
does Ricky Dozan sound like a fun character in a Will Ferrell movie?
Right. I had no idea, by the way, until I heard the name pronounced. I had no idea that his name was pronounced Ricky Dozan.
I've heard of the name. I don't know him though.
Yeah, he's actually Korean, but he was a Japanese legendary wrestler, and he actually trained. I want to say he trained both Inoki and Baba, so both of them were his trainees, and then they split off and became rivals.
Okay.
So this
the more
one,
you learn.
Right. He's not passed away yet. I'll get to that here in a moment. But Uncle Dave Meltzer is reporting
that's promising.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll get to the follow-up. Uncle Dave Meltzer is reporting that Byron Dewey Robertson, known to wrestling fans as the Missing Link, is gravely ill with cancer at the hospital in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada at the moment. He actually passes away of lung cancer on August 16th, so not far after this pay-per-view airs.
I hate saying this, but I have no idea who that is.
Missing Link, he was he had Gary Hart as his manager a lot. He had kind of funky hair, and he painted his face green. He had like black and blue around his eyes, and you'd have to look him up.
I think this is who they modeled the Zodiac after.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd have to look him up. He had.
Remember Hogan saying they modeled Beefcake after like an old wrestler? That must be who it is. Because it sounds like what you just said.
Ah, okay. Yeah, he had like everybody talked about. He had like $1 million body, but he wasn't exactly like from the neck up. He wasn't exactly like movie star good looks. So he just adopted this character of the Missing Link, and he was from parts unknown, and in WCC
was.
Right. Well, in WCCW, he was managed by Skandar Akbar, and in the WWF, he was managed by Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart in the mid '80s. So
got around.
So I thought he was managed by Gary Hart. I guess I'm wrong. Either way,
Yes, and he did manage the sideshow guys.
Yeah, right. But but he was Canadian, and apparently he had a long battle with lung cancer and finally passed away on August 16th. So he was only 68. Kind of sucks. But either way, luckily that is the last death I have to talk about on this podcast. So, until we get into the actual show. But yeah. Getting into the WWE stuff here, Eric Bischoff's WWE contract has indeed expired after both sides agreed not to extend it. The creative team had come up with several short-term ideas over the past year to bring him back, but none of them appealed to him. I think he talked about that too, where he said he's like, it's been fun, but he's like, I'm done. Like nothing they had come up with was really, tickling his fancy, and he's like, I think I've run my course. I can go now.
That's smart. Get out while you're still hot.
Yeah, I mean, why stick around when people are like, until people are tired of seeing you? Then you literally have no value to come back with.
Well, it's like, Jim Cornette always says, "How can I miss you if you won't leave?"
Yeah, right. Go away, learn a new hold.
Hey, Drew McIntyre did that. Now look at him.
I know, right now everybody loves him.
I don't know if it's supposed to be funny or not, but it's true. Go away, learn your role, come back, and boom.
Yeah, right. And I mean, people were fond of him before. Now they really freaking love him. So there you go. Same thing with Heath, man.
He got his he got his wish too. A pay-per-view in the UK, and he's headlining it.
Hell freaking
Don't tell me things don't happen.
He deserves it, man. WWE.com.
If anyone doesn't know, go back to Austin's Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast. He says his main goal in WWE is to get a pay-per-view in the UK. This is before it was even a thing. Holy crap! I was talking about having some pull, but okay. Anyways,
they needed to have that done for a while. It's like, you mean to tell me you can have an annual show, like gigantic show in Saudi freaking Arabia, but you can't do one in the UK? What? Say what?
Biannual. They do it twice.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like that's even worse.
I know.
They could sell out in the UK. I know they could because TNA did it. I don't know.
That's saying something.
Yeah, right. This one we talked about, actually, if anybody goes back to our Great American Bash 2007 episode a few weeks ago, WWE.com. That is correct. WWE.com is reporting that the U.S. champ MVP was diagnosed with the Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome from results obtained during a wellness policy physical test. The syndrome can cause a different heart rhythm, putting him in a very big risk of getting a heart attack at any given time. Cardiologist Dr. Fred Feuerbach, I'm having a hard time pronouncing stuff today, who oversaw...
He's just more money than you anyway, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, right. Who oversaw the testing for WWE said that the test may very well have saved MVP's life. While
that is insane, man.
I know. While not always being fatal, those who have the condition shouldn't be exposed to excessive physical activity, he added. However, MVP's tip-top shape made for the condition, and this past Monday, he underwent a radio frequency treatment. Next week, there will be more tests performed again to see if the procedure was a success. MVP's condition was detected during the Great American Bash weekend.
So they instituted this test because of, obviously the Benoit thing, and it ends up saving lives.
Yeah, right.
Like, let's not kid ourselves. They instituted it to make sure no one's doing steroids because of PR stuff. Okay, let's be real. And then it saves a freaking life.
Yep, very much so. Yeah, he could have had a heart attack in the middle of the damn ring or after the show. He could have ended up like, and I hate to say it like this, but it's very true. He could have ended up like Eddie Guerrero, man. Think about that. It sucks. The funniest thing about this whole story, though, is think about the name of this disease or syndrome, whatever. It's hyphenated twice. Wolff, Parkinson, White. That means it's named after 3 people. So that leads me to believe, A, 3 people had this thing, and it was named and it was discovered in all 3 of them at the same time, so they named it after him, or 3 different scientists found it at the same time. And they all fought to get their name on the same damn disease. Like,
I get it, as a doctor, scientist, whatever, it's a discovery, but it sounds kind of sick to me, fighting to get your name on a disease.
Well, think about that. Your life's accomplishment. It's like, I have a form of diarrhea named after me.
Good Lord. That would be the one you pick, of course.
I just thinking of like one of the most embarrassing things. It's like, how did you discover that? Well, it was a really crappy day at the office. Anyway,
I like to wipe my record clean, please, with this.
Good Lord.
I can do it too.
In most low-key big news of the week, WWE has signed 2 23-year-old California bikini models who happen to be identical twins, the Garcia twins, to developmental deals. Their respective names are Nicole and Brianna. The girls are currently training in Florida Championship Wrestling in Tampa and have appeared at a few shows in eye candy roles. The twins were contestants in last year's Diva Search contest, but they didn't make the cut.
Oh, how are you girls? I like your mom.
Yeah. Oh, I saw your mom. She looks pretty tubular. I was thinking that I could offer you girls a contract. Just one, but I'll offer you 2 identical contracts. Because they're identical twins. Yeah, and now aren't they didn't they go in the WWE Hall of Fame this last year? The year before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so think about that.
Bree's getting a new figure.
Yeah, right. So they just got signed here in 2007 being models after failing out in the Diva Search contest, and now they're in the Hall of Fame.
Which is kind of ironic in a way. Really? I think they would just jumped on twins.
Yeah, right.
Giggity.
Wow. Former WWE superstar Chris Nowinski was featured on ESPN's Outside the Lines this week. Nowinski was talking about his research of concussions and head trauma. That is the only Chris Benoit-related story.
He has a degree from Harvard, you know.
Oh, well, of course.
And if you didn't know that, he'll tell you.
His finishing move was called the honor roll. And he came out to the Harvard fight song.
I'll bet you he did not have an immaculate 4.0 GPA. Like another certain someone.
What the hell?
Thank you.
What the
hell?
You
have zero idea what the hell I'm talking about.
You're talking about Chad Gable, aren't you? I like how
Chris Nowinski. Well, you count on one hand the amount of people they have that, dude. That's tough.
Yeah, right.
Should be proud of that.
Yeah.
Never shut the hell up about it. Proud of it.
Well, I like how Christopher Nowinski was like, he was a wrestler, but nobody remembers that about him. His guy
run was like the worst run by any Tough Enough contestant ever.
Yeah, it's certainly up there. I mean, I'm hard pressed to think of another one.
Like right when he gets there, okay, first they have him with Regal, which makes some sense. You know, they're both pompous asses. Okay, I could buy that. But then they put him with Teddy Long's group, who were like doing the whole black people are being held down thing. I'm like, yeah, because Christopher Nowinski, the whitest white boy from Massachusetts, definitely fits in this group.
The Ivy League white boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. Put him in there. Good Lord. Yeah. Well, getting into some TNA news here. It is being discussed right now within TNA to begin random drug testing effective in September. We all know why this is happening.
Yeah, it's being discussed. Should we, or should we let people just go on and do this stuff? I don't know.
Well, I mean, do we really need? I don't know. But it's rumored that the wrestlers will be notified of this new policy at the Hard Justice pay-per-view to give wrestlers 30 days notice. There are concerns how this will affect the talent. Some believe that while TNA is not under investigation at this time, it would present them in a good light despite no allegations of substance abuse in their company specifically. I heard you sigh a minute ago.
They're going to give them 30 days notice. You're basically saying, hey, if you're doing stuff, stop.
Yeah, they give them the idiot test. People still fail those, by the way. I just got to point that out.
I'm all about cleaning up things, okay? But when you give them 30 days notice, you're basically saying, hey, you're probably guilty, so stop doing it. Get out of your system and take this test.
There's, I know the company that my grandfather used to work for years ago. They had to do so many random drug tests per quarter, and they would pick the same people that they knew were clean every quarter to drug test.
Holy crap. I mean, that's smart, but holy crap.
Yeah, so my grandfather got drug tested every single time because they knew he would always piss clean. Because if they had anybody piss dirty, then they got flagged for it, and it would affect their plant.
This takes me back to a job I had years ago. I'm like, okay, they're doing a random drug test. So then the manager's like, anybody got anything they want to confess? And everyone's like, oh, I'm probably going to piss dirty, you know, this. I think it was just for weed. This was before weed was illegal in California. I was like, I'll take the damn test. Come on, I'll be fine. So I did it 3 times like a year.
Good Lord.
So I should demand some money. If I'm the only one around here not screwing up, I want you guys to pay me.
I knew a guy that was actively looking for a new job. And instead of, while he's looking for a new job, maybe staying clean in case they wanted a drug test, no, he just carried around a condom full of pee.
There's so much wrong with that.
I'm like, that is like, what? Why? Why can't you just clean up?
Because, dude, why would you want to clean up? You can party and you'll be ready to. You would do a clean test.
Yeah, all you have to do is strap a condom full of pee to your leg, and you're ready to go, man. What's wrong with that?
Just gonna point out you were talking about something to your leg, and you said strap. But anyways,
good grief. To wrap this up, while it's abundantly clear that many within TNA's roster are not taking out anabolic steroids, given the size and stature of many of their talents,
we'll get to that.
There are still concerns of recreational drug use among those in the locker room. Dixie Carter herself stated months back that there is no problem with drugs within TNA. She did, however, state that the only issue that she had with substance abuse was with Raven, but later stated that the situation was under control. Yeah.
It's not funny. I don't want to laugh, but it's like, just look at Raven. Is anybody going to think twice and say, I think that guy's on something?
Right.
Sorry.
Especially when you see before and after pictures of like when he was like Scotty Flamingo to Raven. You're like, yeah. Right. Like something happened here. I don't know, man. But unfortunately, I have to do a follow-up to that story with, well, this. For lack of a better term, in that same vein, the Punisher, Andrew Martin, formerly known as Test in the WWE, did a post on his MySpace page. If you don't know what that is, Google it. In which he defends.
Lord, man, we're really going far back,
right? In which he defends.
This is what I meant when I said we'll get to that later. I was going to do it mid-pay-per-view, but if you're going to do it now, never mind. Okay.
Yep. Well, it's as bad as you think, because this post. In this post, he defends the use of steroids in professional wrestling. He says that they're mostly for cosmetic reasons and compares them to a facelift or Botox. However, he says that it's wrong for athletes in other sports to use them because steroids gives them a competitive edge. Oh, well, I'm glad he draws the line. He also mentions TNA at the end of his post by saying, quote, "Don't forget to watch TNA at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Spike. You will be pleasantly surprised to see how far this company has grown and will continue to do so. Or you could always watch the same guys I watched when I was a kid doing the same boring storylines. TNA, TNA, TNA."
Oh, I'll Tony Khan of him.
Yeah, right. I was like, also, so this crap was going on way back then?
I gotta point out, by the way, that Botox and facelifts won't kill you.
Yeah. Look, here's my thing. If you, and I've said this before, I'm not a fan of steroids. I would never do them myself, but there are controlled steroids that you can get prescribed from your doctor that, whatever. If you're doing them under supervision of a doctor and you're doing them safely, whatever, that's on you. If you're doing illegal steroids or if you're doing them while you're in a competition, no. Like, there's no, I don't see any excuse for that whatsoever.
I don't know what it does cosmetically either. So?
Yeah. I knew a guy, there was a wrestler, an independent wrestler, that he was talking about steroids. He was like, well, I found out, if you're going to do steroids, he's like, you have to make sure that you can work out consistently, because he said, I was on a long road loop where I couldn't work out every day like I needed to, but I was still doing my steroids like normal. And he said, and I got really blown up and overweight.
I love that, by the way. Oh, just doing like normal.
Yeah, right.
It's like doing the old steroids here.
Yeah, well, it's just normal to stick a needle in your ass every day and, go on your merry way. I think you're full, big man.
If anybody goes and watches this pay-per-view, when Test shows up at it, my God, he is bloated.
He makes
Brian Cage look like a stick.
And it's sad that he dies from that crap too. Well, TNA Talent Relations Manager Terry Taylor. You know what that means. There you go. Is trying to make a deal with former WWE stars Rikishi and Brian Christopher to have them come in as a tag team. They wouldn't be able to use the Too Cool name, obviously, but they are being talked but they are being talked with to reunite the Too Cool team, but under a different name. Rikishi's money demands had been too high, but it looks like that aspect has been worked out. Yeah, he'll be there for like a couple of weeks.
Of course, they'll put him with Samoa Joe.
Of course. Who else are you going to put him with? Speaking with Mr. Terrence Taylor, the tailor-made man, Terry Taylor has informed two TNA talents that their services would not be needed at the Hard Justice pay-per-view or the next set of Impact tapings. The two talents that have been removed from the tapings are Lance Hoyt and Christy Hemme. Taylor had... Oh, no.
Wow, they were in everything at this point, too.
I know.
Wow.
I was surprised they weren't on the show. Right? Taylor had informed both talents that it was simply for budgetary reasons. Why are they killing the slow build program between VKM and the combination of Hoyt and Hemme? No reason in particular at this point, but it appears that the program has been abandoned. Oh,
who cares?
no.
To celebrate.
Yeah, right. This has been going on literally all freaking year. So I'm not going to shed a tear for this crap. And this will kind of bleed into the show here. TNA Talent Relations Manager Terry Taylor offered Ron Killings a raise.
Sorry.
The elimination of the 20% booking fee and the ability to continue working in AAA if he continues, or if he returns to TNA.
Sorry, who?
Ron Killings.
I don't know if he does return. He might be on his way to WWE at this point.
He's on the show.
No, I know, but I mean, I don't know if he returns after this contract's over. So.
Oh no. Well, because he'd been out for a while, so he's trying to get him to come back for a little bit here. So, yeah. After Scott Steiner went down with an injury in June, TNA called Ken Shamrock at the last minute to replace him at the Slammiversary pay-per-view. Apparently, he came very close to accepting the deal. Road Warrior Animal ended up taking his place and ruffled some feathers.
Upgrade, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ken Shamrock would have been the better wrestler, but Animal was kind of the better.
About? Now in the archives, that was a great show.
I think Animal was the better nostalgia fit in there, teaming with Rick Steiner, but that would have been so awkward. Like, why the hell would Ken Shamrock randomly have replaced Scott Steiner?
I don't know, but him and Steiner are both nuts, so.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Homicide was fined by TNA for a post that he did on his MySpace page.
Good Lord.
Yeah. TNA officials weren't happy.
2007, folks.
Right. TNA officials weren't happy with him writing in support of Conan, who they consider to be a major enemy now. The post has since been removed.
How dare you show loyalty to your friend who got you in this.
Look, I like it. Conan's funny, whatever. I like hearing some of the stuff he has to say, whatever. Some of his opinions and stories are funny, but good Lord, like, when we talk about people who burn bridges, man, like, Conan sometimes gets left off that list, but he's like the king. Like, he's right up there with Jim Cornette. Like, not to spoil anything, but next week? Yeah, next week. We're covering SummerSlam 1992, and there's a story on there that I have about Conan burning a freaking bridge on there. And it seemed like every other week he was threatening WCW with some kind of lawsuit. Or Mexico, or whatever.
I like how it's not just like, I'll just go back to Mexico. No, he'll screw them over, too.
I know. It's either I'll leave your company to go to the rival company, and then when he pisses them off, it's I'll leave your company and go make my own damn company.
Or do my own podcast.
Yeah, right.
With Disco.
Weirdest freaking combo ever, but yeah. Final story I have here. Hiroshi Tanahashi defeated Yuji Nagata at the G1 Climax tournament. He will now go on to wrestle for the IWGP World Heavyweight title at the January 4th Tokyo Dome show in the most shocking story that I have on this entire docket here. I know, Tanahashi closing the Tokyo Dome show? Who would have ever guessed?
Well, hold on. At this point, he's still 22 years old, something like that? He's not like
I don't know.
Tanahashi yet. He's just, he's good, but he's not like Tanahashi yet.
Yeah,
I
I'm
only
not
know
sure.
TNA pay-per-view with AJ Styles. And they talked him up as being a next big thing, which is kind of funny in hindsight. They nailed it. I mean, he would be pretty big.
He was 30. Yeah, he was 30 at this point.
That's right, because he was the U30 champion, which was real original.
Yeah.
Which I guess he wasn't at this point because he had to give it up or lost it, one of the two.
Yeah, right. So I don't remember when he won his first title. I know he's an 8-time IWGP champion. Good freaking Lord, man. Okay. He's a record-breaking IWGP champion, I'll say that. So either way, yeah, he was still the ace of Japan at that time, so he was becoming their John Cena. It's funny that his rise in Japan and John Cena's rise in America kind of like were about at the same time.
That was a dream match for many people at one point, too.
Yeah, I know. Kind of sucks it'll never happen, but I guess never say never.
Let's never say never, but it's highly unlikely.
Right. All right, man. That does it for the news and notes. We're going to take our next break. When we come back from this, we're going to dive into hard justice. Right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan McCarthy, and I'm the host of the No Credentials Required podcast. Start your work week with the Monday Drop-In, where I talk about the sports beat in the Capital District, also known as the Mighty 518, as well as Metro New York sports from an upstate point of view. I also give a life lesson from a weekly sports story, so you might learn something from that. I also have a midweek podcast where I interview different sports personalities and talk about a wide array of topics. Take a listen and subscribe on your preferred podcast app, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also check out our social media channels on Twitter and Instagram, BellyUpNCR, and Facebook.com/BellyUpSportsNCR. We're a part of the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network in association with Godzilla Media. No credentials required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
This message is brought to you by Belly Up Sports. No, just kidding. This is not an NWO promo. This is just me, Kyle Sullivan, aka Shaggy Von Doom, the host of Here in Puckburg on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. I have a hockey podcast where we talk about hockey fandom and the love of the game and where that leads you in this game we call life. Why am I on Main Event Marks telling you about this? Well, what if I told you I had one half of the world's greatest tag team, otherwise known as the Main Event Marks, the one and only Greg, Superfly Greg. He was on, and he was talking about his love of the game. So you might want to come over and check that episode out. And if you like what you hear, you can check out the rest of our incredible episodes with our incredible hockey community, from PHF athletes, ESPN personalities, fathers of NHL players, and a whole lot more. Come by, follow the show, give a like, give a subscribe, and it'd be great to have you here in Puckburg. But enough about me. Let's get back to what you're really here for, the Main Event Marks, because they are the cream of the crop. Oh, yeah.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back. All right. It's TNA Hard Justice 2007 took place on August 12th, 2007. The tagline, all or nothing. Yeah. And it took place at the Impact.
That'll be a big one day.
Took place at the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, with the attendance of 900, pay-per-view buy rate of 25,000. So, not many people, I always say this, not many people ordered this, but then again, not a lot of people were watching TNA at this time, so whatever. I will say this, the opening package of the pay-per-view shows Kurt Angle was super arrogant just a month ago when he had everything, and now he's lost almost everything, including his wife. Now, Samoa Joe wants to take even his world title from him. The show opens up by showing Adam Hangman Pierce. Or now I'm combining a bunch of different Adams. Good Lord. Adam Pac-Man Jones. There we go. And his entourage pulling up to the venue and coming in. I'll get this right before the end of the podcast, I promise. Our first match now is
still number 32 in the zone at this point.
Yeah. Our first match is a triple threat tag team match between Black Machismo and Sanjay Dutt versus the Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and the Triple X team of Senshi and Christopher Daniels with Elix Skipper in their corner. This went just shy of 16 minutes. It's funny that Daniels...
Oh, I want to point out that two of these teams are still a thing to this day.
Oh, wait, is Triple X still going, or are you talking about Machismo and Dutt?
Sabin and Shelley are still going, and Machismo and Dutt were just on Dynamite last night.
Yeah, sorry, I blanked. I completely forgot that.
I mean, many people have given up wrestling, but yeah, it's still.
I forgot that Lethal and Dutt were teaming now. I did find it funny here that Daniels is the only member of Triple X that didn't color coordinate and wear white. I don't know why, but in the end,
a fallen angel would wear whites.
Yeah, right.
What do I know?
But in the end, Machismo shoves Daniels into Senshi, who's on the top rope. This crotches Senshi as Machismo small packages Daniels for the win. It was okay. Uncle Dave gave it 3.5 stars. I gave it 3.
Good.
What say you?
Give it 2.
Wow, really?
It was okay.
I'll say this: they did a bunch of moves. So
that's the problem. you can go watch it again. They're just waiting for the moves to happen.
Yeah. One problem with some of these matches is it was like moves, and it's like, oh man, they just hit this giant move. That should be the end of it. And then it's like, no, we're going to end on a roll up.
Yeah. I hate that crap.
Yeah, that's my one problem with some of these AEW matches where it's like, oh, near fall, and I get to the point where I'm like, dude, do you literally have to pull out a gun and shoot them to keep them down? Because they've kicked out of like everything. Like, there's literally nothing else you can do at this point. You've hit them in the head with every object around the ring. You've hit every move known to man on them. The only thing left to do is do it all over again. Like, take it home, man.
And then in WWE, they'll sometimes just end a match before it really is getting going with the schoolboy. So
yeah, right. But after
worry, no one's off limits to that BS in wrestling today.
Yep, I know. Some agents really need to worry, because some of the agents were really good wrestlers back in the day. Like, they know how to do this. Why are they not imparting this wisdom?
Past Monday, didn't I send you a message during? I'm like, dude, these people are the Hurricane, Petey Williams, Adam Pearce, Jason Jordan, Daivari. A lot of talent in there, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like Daivari and Jason Jordan were top guys, but yeah, it's like all of them have something to offer. But after
I put the Hurricane on top myself, but
right. After the match, Christopher Daniels gets into a shoving match with Black Machismo, and their respective partners have to step in and separate the two men. Go backstage with Jeremy Borash.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot to mention this. I didn't read some of my notes. Why are they like separating them? They're not like friends. Let them fight.
Yeah, they're like,
oh my god, they will break it up because these two will fight and keep them apart. No, that kind of like made me think twice. Like, why are they stopping them?
You ever notice they sometimes treated the X Division like almost like Ring of Honor or like they were a bunch of friends or something?
I used to always say, well, like it's like a damn brotherhood, which I can kind of respect, but then it's like, not really.
No, the X Division were all the geeks that never got enough respect. So they
and AJ Styles,
right? I don't know. He fit into he wasn't a geek, but he sure tried to make himself one sometimes, or they tried to make him one.
I've never seen him up, down, down. He is a total geek, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I've seen him damn near flip tables and when he loses. So yeah. But we now got back.
Still coming to show us.
with Jeremy Borash, where he goes into Samoa Joe's locker room looking to get an interview. However, when he opens the door, he sees Karen Angle sitting on a couch with, I think, the trademark.
Yep.
If it's
John
not him,
Cena's
it looks like him.
That's him.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought it was. I was like, so is this leading up to Kurt Angle getting his new theme song? But Karen's flirting with the man, and they're drinking champagne. Karen invites JB in, says that this is the new man in her life, and hands JB a glass of champagne. He ends up leaving the room, downing the bubbly, and saying, "Wait till Kurt hears about this."
Freaking stooge.
Yeah, this is leading. If nobody can see this, by the way, this is leading to a Russo swerve, bro.
I don't want to. I'm telling you, I'm not even joking. I saw this coming a mile away. I just felt like you can see it.
Yeah. Well,
when it happens, oh look, I was right.
Russo's swerves are always super obvious. Like, it's just like you expect it because it's so dumb. You're like, nobody with a brain.
It's Russo.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, this could happen. Like, this would be a swerve, but it would be a dumb swerve, so it's probably going to happen. And he does it every time.
Every effing time.
Yep. Vince Russo strikes again.
That's
Raven comes.
One of his best lines ever.
Right. Raven comes to the ring next with Serotonin members Havoc and Martyr carrying Singapore canes. Kaz comes to the ring with a cane as well, and Raven grabs the mic. He says that Kaz has proved his point, that he's his own man, and he'll accept him back into Serotonin. Kaz ends up shaking Raven's hand and hugging him before caning Raven in the head and taking out Martyr and Havoc. And now we get this. It's Raven versus Kaz. It's 5 minutes and 41 seconds. After the bell rings, Kaz dives out of the ring onto Serotonin. In the end, Kaz gets out of a Raven effect attempt, knocks Martyr off the apron, nails a running single leg drop kick to Raven, and pins him to win. You heard me right. Uncle Dave gave this 2.25 stars. I gave it 1.5. Say you.
I gave it 1. This is terrible. I don't think I've ever given a Kaz match a 1.
Why? It's just, I didn't like it when Brian Pillman did it. I realized that came later. But what the hell? A running single leg drop kick to pin Raven.
I mean, is that technically Drew's Claymore?
Well, not. I mean,
no, I mean, not the. I mean, the description is what I mean.
Sort of.
Running
I mean,
single leg drop kick. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing, like, you look at the momentum of the move. Like Kaz, like runs, kind of, sort of jumps up in the air and pops the leg up, whereas like Drew doesn't stop his momentum. He like runs full force forward with the leg out. So it's like,
and it looks painful as hell. So yeah.
Oh yeah, Kaz. It's like, yeah, it would hurt, but it's like, is that really going to knock you the hell out? I don't know. Either way, we now go backstage to Jeremy Borash sitting down on a bench with Kurt Angle in the locker room. Borash says that he saw
so stupid.
Borash says that he saw Karen with someone earlier, and Kurt freaks out, asking who he was with, or who was with Karen. Finally, JB says that she had a date, and Kurt says that he doesn't believe it. When JB says that they're in Samoa Joe's locker room, Kurt says that he's going to go investigate. Why is this on a pay-per-view?
Why wouldn't it be?
I realize I can't put this all on TNA. WWE's had some stupid like storyline threads throughout pay-per-views in the past too, but this just like really, and it's leading to a stupid payoff.
You know, Vince Russo wanted Karen to get naked or something on here.
Oh, well, bro. Where's the pudding bath?
She's going to show her rack. It's to be covered by the gold medals, bro.
Oh my gosh. Mother
Tell
of
me
God.
You can't see him saying that.
I'm sure he would. But up next we have this. It is. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot.
Any event anywhere in the country, right here, dude.
Hold Well, and you'd be thrown off by the competitors in the match, too. It is Cowboy James Storm with Ms. Jackie Moore in his corner, taking on Rhino in a bar room brawl.
Now, before you even get going, we talked about this one of our past shows, and I told you this was coming up. And I told you, do you remember? I said, I forget what match it was. It was definitely these two. And I told you it was only going to get worse. Just stay tuned. Remember, I told you that.
Yes.
This is what I was talking about right here.
Yep. This goes for 13 minutes and 15 seconds.
I remember we were talking about it, and we said, "Man, that's weird because Rhino usually doesn't have these bad matches." I said, "Yeah, it's going to get worse." Yep.
Hard to fathom.
Here we are.
But, yep, this was a sort of match. So let me set the scene for you. They set props all up in and outside the ring to make it look like a bar and grill, basically. There's like tables and chairs. There's an actual bar and a toilet.
A keg and a bunch of bottles, everything.
Yeah.
Was there a pool table? That's all I was missing.
No, there wasn't a pool table. There should have been.
Darts or anything?
They did make sure to put a toilet out there because, reasons. But either way.
You make this funnier than it has to be.
They even had what looked like a zombie sitting at the bar.
Yeah. Really fired, remember? So, yeah.
Yeah, he needed work. He's got undead kids. He needs this job.
Good Lord.
But yet again, they brawl through the crowd because this is just a staple of Rhino and James Storm matches. Rhino downs some beer and then sprays it all over Storm and Jackie. Commentary puts over how Rhino is off the wagon now and how the arena smells like booze. The match ends the same as every other match between these two, with James Storm shattering a beer bottle over Rhino's head and pinning him. Because apparently they can't come up with a new finish. Uncle Dave gives it 2 3/4 of a star. I give it 2.
I gave it 1. And I feel like ending a barroom brawl with a beer bottle over the head just
anticlimactic.
It was like to quote Jim Cornette, lazy fucking.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, why are we?
He like broke his ankle or something, or whatever, with a keg or something. Smacked on him. Oh, beer ball.
Well, my thing is not that anybody's ever accused Russo of being a competent writer or booker or critical thinker, but like the whole story. I know. But the whole storyline here is that James Storm is, a big drinker and a lush and whatever, and Rhino has had issues with drinking in the past, and James Storm is mocking him for it, and he's shoving it in his face, and he's shoving booze down his throat, whatever, to make fun of him, and Rhino's resisting because he's staying strong and all that, and we're cheering him on. Yeah, you go, Rhino, you're the conquering hero. And here he's just like, F it, I'm off the wagon, I'm getting drunk, and I'm still going to lose. Why am I going to keep cheering for this guy?
Sounds like a pathetic loser in the mess, dude.
Yeah, like, it's not even like you're not a conquering hero anymore. You're just now I feel sad for you.
I like Rhino, but when the hell was he ever a conquering hero?
Well, the thing is, they could have made him that. Like, he had a sympathetic story. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think you're digging here.
Well, the way they set it up, like they set it up like they were trying to make him the sympathetic babyface conquering guy that takes out the
beats his demons.
Beats his demon, takes out the drunk cowboy and whatever, and everybody loves him. But nope, he just gives in, and oh, by the way, he still loses every effing match. Has he beat James Storm once, by the way?
Not in everything we've been reviewing, but if there's one on Impact, maybe that we're missing.
Yeah, so I'm like, why do they keep having matches? Why do they keep booking this crap? Oh, well, it's different now because now there's a stipulation on it. Who gives a crap? Still gonna lose.
And then there's a different stipulation, and then there's the guy falling off the wagon.
Yeah,
see,
it's like,
elements. Dude, jeez, what do you? You don't get it. Whatever.
Oh well, this one is a Rhino loses in a bar match now. But we now go backstage with new interchangeable blonde interviewer Crystal talking with Adam Pac-Man Jones. And Ron the Truth Killings interrupts her, saying that he's tired of hearing about Pac-Man because people should be talking about him. He's a former 2-time NWA champion, and he thinks everyone should be focusing on him and quit wasting time on Pac-Man.
Have you checked the little lies?
I mean, look, it took a few years, but he got his wish. Nobody's talking about Pac-Man anymore.
A lot of people were talking about Pac-Man when he got in that fight with a cop or something like that. He was in the backseat of the car and a bunch of crap happened.
Oh man, when I was a news reporter down in Cincinnati, like the only, it seemed like the only time I ever talked about Pac-Man Jones in any of my newscasts was something negative about him being arrested or suspended or some crap. I'm like, why is he still on the team?
Probably because he was cheap.
The news director always had a saying, you know how they always say, if it bleeds, it leads. My news director always said, if it's striped, it leads. Anyway, next up here, we got the Voodoo Kin Mafia of BG and Kip James with Roxy Laveau in their corner. They have finally been released from the custody of Chrissy Hemme and Lance Hoyt, I guess, as they are taking on LAX, Homicide and Hernandez. This one went shy of 6 minutes. My first note here, about damn time VKM and Christy Hemme decided to start seeing other people. In what we thought
not
was...
under their own, because they wanted to.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, hey, Christy and Lance, stay home. Maybe everybody doesn't die today. Or, maybe everybody doesn't want to get infected tonight. Stay home.
Yourself.
Right. In what we thought was the end, Hernandez gets BG up for the border toss, and Roxy throws powder in his face, just like a baby face. Kip hits the Fame-Asser on Hernandez and pins him for the win. Isn't VKM... Here in my notes, I wrote, isn't VKM supposed to be the baby faces? Hector Guerrero then runs into the ring and shows Earl Hebner the powder and explains what happened. So Earl Hebner restarts the match because even though he didn't see it, he's going to take Hector's word for it. He seems like a trustworthy guy, right? I mean, the Guerreros have never lied, cheated, and stole.
And Earl, he's a straight shooter too. He's never screwed over anybody.
Exactly. Damn right he didn't. Homicide instantly rolls Kip up and pins him to win. Why was this not an Impact? I mean, I'm sure.
Say about a couple matches.
Right. Uncle Dave gave this 3/4 of a star. I give it a 1.5 stars. What say you?
1 star. Terrible.
God, this sucked. After the match,
comes to pay-per-view, folks. You literally paid money for this.
Unfortunately. After the match, LAX takes off and taunts VKM, who are flipping out in the ring. Hector Guerrero and LAX exchange glances to each other as LAX walks to the back.
To the back.
The play-up package for the next match reminds us that last month, after their match, Eric Young depantsed Robert Roode. Then, on Impact, EY stopped Roode from using a chair against Sting, leading to a Sting victory. Later, Roode took Young out and then tarred and feathered him. They keep saying tarred and feathered, but he just kind of squirts oil on him and then throws feathers on him.
Close enough.
Yeah. I guess oiled and feathered doesn't sound as good.
I was just saying, nobody's just going to say feathered.
But we now go backstage again with Jeremy Borash and Eric Young. EY says in 5th grade he had his pants pulled down in front of everybody. Of course he did. He was once taped to the lockers. He then says, and let's talk about the Sophie LaFleur incident. I don't really want to go into detail, but me, her, a bunch of soda pop, and a late night experience. It was terrible. Just like tonight. It's going to be terrible.
Boy,
what
man.
The hell?
When he says a mouthful, man.
Right? What the hell, man? Borash tells him that this isn't high school and he has nothing to worry about. EY starts getting more confident and saying that he's a grown man and he's been drinking his milk. I loved Eric Young, man. He then gets quiet and turns his back when Kurt Angle walks up. Kurt says that he went to Joe's locker room and Karen wasn't there, so he accuses JB of fooling around with her. EY chuckles and Kurt asks Eric if he's messing around with Karen. Young says that Karen's way out of his league, and plus the guy she's with is way better looking than him. Young says that yeah, right. Young says that they were going at it out back, and Borash tries to calm Kurt down. Kurt blames this all on Joe and storms off. God. But here we are. Up next, it is Robert Roode with Ms. Brooks in his corner versus Eric Young in a humiliation match.
Bob Roode.
My thing is, since Ms. Brooks is always in Robert Roode's corner, and Gail Kim literally had nothing going on tonight, but was clearly on the in the back, as we're going to see later on, why wasn't she at ringside?
Because reasons.
Yeah, there's no logic. Anyway, this goes about 9.5 minutes.
Well, that's on you for thinking there should be logic in this company. But...
I know. Screw me. Ms. Brooks gets involved at one point. Eric Young cuts her off and catapults her face first into the crotch of Robert Roode, who was on the top rope. Young then gets them both on his shoulders for a Death Valley driver, but Roode slides off and stops it. The ref gets distracted by Brooks out of the ring and doesn't see EY roll up Roode, so Roode kicks out at 2. Brooks distracts the ref again so that when EY comes off the top rope, Roode kicks him in the crotch. In the crotch. So
that doesn't work.
He then gets brass knucks, knocks Young out, and pins him to win. Uncle Dave gave it dose stars. I gave it 2.5. What say you?
God, man, I thought this sucked too. I gave it 1 as well.
I actually like this match. I always like when these two have a match against each other. So I don't know. Even the bad ones I think are acceptable, but maybe it's just me. But after the match, after the match, Robert Roode drags Eric Young to the outside, and Gail Kim lays on him, trying to stop the tar and feathering. Roode calls her a little bitch, and has Ms. Brooks hold her while he attempts to punch her with brass knucks, but Gail moves and Roode knocks out Brooks. So much for the no more man-on-woman violence.
Hold on, I think that only applied to Spike, to be fair.
Yeah, but they said on the last, they made a big deal out of it on the last pay-per-view, though.
I know, but I think that the rule only applied to that. Also, I think the workaround was they could just be flat out doing it. Like, this is an accident, but I don't know.
I would agree with that. However, he was swinging at a woman, missed that woman, and hit another woman.
But the end result is an accident.
I guess so. This is effing dumb. Gail and Roode. Again, that's on you. Gail and Roode go at it for a bit until Eric Young gets up and hits a running kick between Roode's legs. Lots of crotches being hit in this one. Young grabs a mic and says, I told you I wasn't getting tarred and feathered, but I'll tell you who is. He and Gail Kim then tar and feather Ms. Brooks before leaving. Brooks throws a fit as Robert Roode leaves. So yeah, that segment happened.
At this point, I'm like, yeah, this pay-per-view happened.
I'll keep that same energy for this, man. After a Black Rain play-up package, we go backstage with Crystal, with Crystal and Chris Harris. Harris says that Dustin Rhodes lost his spot all on his own, and Harris earned his. He didn't take Dustin's. He says that he's tired of has-beens like Dustin getting in the way of his future. This storyline makes no damn sense. Dustin's been gone for ever. So how the hell did Chris Harris take Dustin's spot?
I don't know. I do agree with the whole has-beens getting in the way of his future because that happened to a lot of TNA guys. But
right. That's for anybody that didn't watch this. That was the whole premise of this. This is the whole thing here is that Dustin Rhodes came in. He was like, "Well, that's my spot," and Chris Harris took it. I'm like, first of all, how does one distinguish whose spot is which? Are there not multiple
because he was supposed to team with James Storm as America's Most Wanted, idiot. Jeez.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm like, how do you determine? It's not like it's a couch. I don't get it. And then second of all, like I said, he'd been gone for a while. How the hell was that his spot that Chris Harris took? Whatever.
I don't know, but you're looking too hard for logic here, dude. That's on you.
We've officially done that like 3 or 4 times on this show. I think we're up to 4 or 5 actually on this one single pay-per-view. That's pathetic. But up next, it is
Stop
the
using logic, damn it.
It is the Wildcat Chris Harris versus Black Rain in what we'll call a match in just shy of 5 minutes.
So now we're just throwing the word out match out there at will.
Right. I forgot there was a babyface entry ramp on one side of the arena and a heel entry ramp on the other side. So either way, Harris is an idiot. And when Black Rain wasn't coming out on the heel side, he never looks over his shoulder and checks the babyface side. So Black Rain just comes out from behind and busts Harris open right away. And when the ref tries to stop him, he clotheslines him and knocks him out. Harris is pouring blood for this stupid ass angle. Finally, another referee comes out, and when Black Rain is choking Harris with a chain, he calls for a disqualification. Uncle Dave gave this a half a star. I gave it a dud. It wasn't even a freaking match. What say you?
I almost didn't rate it, but I too gave it a 1.
Yeah, it wasn't a match. Like, what the hell? I don't know.
Match wasn't even there.
Wasn't even there. It was on. But after this quote-unquote match, Black Rain handcuffs Chris Harris in the corner and then takes security out while they were trying to interfere. Black Rain has some kind of billy club with a spike on the end of it, and he jabs it into Harris's head, which, by the way, commentary ruins because he doesn't actually hit him with the spike of it, and commentary is like, oh, well, if he would have actually hit him with a spike, that would have been a lot worse. It's like, so you kind of just ruin the angle. Cool.
Well, he was supposed to hit him with it, and he messed up, and they helped him.
Yeah. Hashtag plans changed. Finally, the Geek Squad of Kaz, Black Machismo, and Sanjay Dutt run out and get between Harris and Rain.
The Geek Squad.
They were. Now, who the hell could have cared? This whole thing sucked. Whole thing sucked. We now go backstage with Crystal standing by with the Steiner Brothers and, forgive me, but it's some Japanese dude with multicolored hair. They never once say his name.
What does that tell you? Is that important?
Right. Scott calls him my partner in Japan. Like, that is all we get. But Rick says the old dog is back and ready to do battle tonight. Scott says that he's fired up after Team 3D questioned his injury, and tonight Team 3D goes down like that old company of theirs, ECW. But now we switch to Jeremy Borash standing by with Team 3D. Brother Ray makes some lame joke about I don't even know what the hell he made some joke. I was like, okay, I guess that was a joke, huh? And then says that Scott should have stayed at that hospital in Puerto Rico before saying that Rick is half retarded and that the Steiners are both grossly out of shape. Good freaking Lord.
Because, if there's anybody that's a standard bearer of being in shape, Holy Ray.
Right. Yeah, the grossly out of shape comment was bad enough, but he called Rick half retarded. That shows you where we are. You would never hear anybody in 2022 use that phrase. Anyway.
Kind of ironic, by the way, that the first time we ever saw Rick Steiner and Bully Ray, they were portrayed as somewhat handicapped. Think about it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Bubba Ray had the stutter, and Rick painted a thing on his hand and talked to it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right.
That's kind of ironic. Kind of ironic in a way, huh?
You're not wrong, unfortunately. Anyway, up next is the Steiner Brothers of Rick and Scott Steiner versus Team 3D, Brother Ray and Brother Devon, in 11 minutes. When the Steiners get the advantage for a while, Team 3D goes off, and the Steiners have to chase them down and bring them back. Team 3D ends up working on Scott Steiner's back scar from his injury. Later on, Rick goes on a suplex frenzy, and when Scott hits a top rope Frankensteiner, the crowd comes unglued. Brother Ray eventually gets dumped outside, and the Steiners hit their double team bulldog move on Devon for the pinfall win. Rick was clearly blown up sky high early on, but this was fine. Uncle Dave and I both gave it 2 stars. What say you?
I gave it 2, but It's not that good.
Wasn't great, but hey, it could have been way worse. All right.
Yeah, but with this pay-per-view, though, I think we've already lost the ability to say that.
Yeah, well, we've seen way worse, so this was a slight step
And
up at
we
least.
still have to see one more way worse.
God, yeah. Well, speaking of worse, up next, backstage, Jeremy Borash is with Kurt Angle, who approaches a door with a hand-typed sign on it that says Dr. Kevin Nash. I completely forgot when this happened. Kurt sighs and just walks in with JB before dropping his title on the floor and flopping face first on the couch. He whines that he's lost everything, and Nash says that there are things more important in life than family, like his doctor. Nash tells Kurt that he needs to snap out of it and gives him a pep talk, while also crapping on New Japan Pro Wrestling, calling it the A&B Championship from Japan. Kurt says that he can do it, and Nash tells him to have the eye of the tiger. When Nash walks away, Kurt flops over crying again. Now this. In the ring, Mike Tenay says that unless you've been living in a cave or under a rock for the past 2 weeks, you've been seeing the unprecedented mainstream coverage that TNA has been getting. I mean, sure. He then introduces Adam Pac-Man Jones as the most controversial man in sports.
He's not wrong.
The thing is, Pac-Man was a really good player, but was never really worth the trouble he caused. Ever.
Kind of good.
Yeah. He literally embarrassed every single team that he played for. That was a huge liability. Bless TNA's little hearts for thinking that this would be their Mike Tyson in 1998 moment. Jones comes out and ignores
Mike Tyson was actually great.
Right. He was at the top of his sport. Jones comes out and ignores Tenay's handshake. Tenay asks Pac-Man why he chose to go into wrestling, and Pac-Man says that he's loved wrestling ever since he was a kid. Tenay asks why he chose TNA, and Pac-Man says that both TNA and he are trendsetters. Sure, we'll go with that.
Bottom barrel scraping.
Well, he did go to the Bengals, so I mean, there's that. Tenay asks, and this was before they were
current
good,
reigning
people.
Defending AFC champions. You might want to shut your mouth.
That was before they were good, Greg, so I could say that back then. Tenay asks what Pac-Man's goal is, and Pac-Man says that he's proven that he's he wants to prove that he's the best team player. It's at this point that I actively spit my drink out in laughter. Ron Killings now interrupts and says that Pac-Man, or what Pac-Man says is sickening him. He says that wrestling is not a team sport. This, by the way, is following a tag team match.
I didn't catch that.
Ron then points out that Pac-Man's contract says that he can't touch anyone or be touched. The crowd chants, "He's a bitch! He's a bitch!" So,
I thought they were saying he's a bitch.
Yeah, that's it. Truth says that everyone's gunning for him, and he's number one, so he better watch his back. Pac-Man says that Truth talks a lot, and he needs to step up. However, once Killings tries to step up, security tackles him. This was pointless. Just what the actual hell, man?
I love that you had to point that out.
I know.
Just in case
redundant.
people didn't know, this was pointless.
Yeah, and it kind of goes somewhere, but that too was also pointless. So, I mean, if
It
the
makes no
point
sense
was
to me bringing somebody in, doing all this, and they can't even get physical.
right, I mean, if the whole point of this was to completely devalue your tag team titles and crap on everything you're doing, then sure, I mean, it was totally worth it. But yeah. We now go backstage with Crystal standing by with Christian Cage, AJ Styles, and Tomko. Christian points out how the Doomsday Chamber of Blood sounds stupid. He's not wrong. He then says that he'll hold Abyss personally responsible if anything happens to AJ Styles tonight. After he leaves, AJ says that he's got himself covered so he won't bleed, and he holds up a box of Band-Aids. Tomko says that those won't stop you from bleeding. Those stop you from bleeding after you start bleeding. They don't prevent the bleeding. AJ seems confused by this concept. Yeah. What they said about Rick Steiner is actually AJ Styles apparently during this time. So
I ain't touching that.
After going back to commentary for a moment, they then send cameras backstage where Adam Pac-Man Jones is laid out with fake blood on his face. I'm sure that was all totally real.
I don't know what you're trying to say, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We now go to this. It is Christian Cage, AJ Styles, and Tomko taking on Sting, Abyss, and The Punisher, Andrew Martin, in a Doomsday Chamber of Blood match. Went just shy of 11 minutes.
Just shy of being the worst piece of crap ever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this is honestly just a cage with barbed wire wrapped around the top and the corners of it, and weapons are legal. Also, in order to pin your opponent, they must first bleed.
What the fuck?
Vince Russo has struck again.
This is like in order to. This is like me, like the King of the Mountain. You know, in order to get up there, you got to pin someone.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make a bleed.
I'll make a bleed.
Damn shame Scott Steiner wasn't in this. There you go.
Yeah, right. The match starts out outside the cage, completely neutering the stipulation. And Abyss gets jumped by Christian's crew. Tomko bleeds first from a Sting chair shot. Christian makes Abyss bleed next with a shard of glass because every single Abyss match must involve shards of glass. Sting uses wire cutters to cut the barbed wire open, again neutering the point of the match. And Christian ends up escaping, leaving AJ and Tomko alone. Abyss hits the black hole slam on AJ Styles onto the shattered glass, which the stupid cameraman almost misses, pins him, and wins. This, apparently, by the way, the person who gets the pin becomes the number one contender for the TNA World title. And Abyss did this just like Lou Thesz would have. You know, by slamming your opponent into shards of glass while being surrounded by a barbed wire wrapped steel cage. God, my head hurts. Uncle Dave gave this a whole star. I gave it 2. It was something. What say you?
I'm right there with douchebag Dave. Man, this was terrible.
Oh, God, why? Just what is life, man? I don't even know.
And doesn't he face Angle at the next pay-per-view in a cage? You know,
in a cage? I don't know.
Probably like in a cage, and that's when Messias comes out. I believe it was No Surrender, 2007. There we go.
Yeah, No Surrender 07.
That's nice. Angle faces everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's not in a cage. I thought it was a cage. I vividly remember a cage.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So Abyss versus Kurt Angle for the TNA World title on pay-per-view. That's really gonna put some asses in seats, man. I mean, you know, Abyss's family, but you know, other than that, God, this is terrible. And we still got one more match to go, ladies and gents. Luckily, it's the best match on the show, but it's that's faint praise. That's like saying
this ship is already sunk, dude. Okay, this is going to be like a life raft to save what? Nobody.
Yeah, well, that's like saying it's like, hey, I mean, yeah, the Titanic sunk, but look, we got one lifeboat full of people off of there. All right, not all the lives are lost. Anyway, we're going to take our second to last break. When we come back, it's main event time right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at Facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
What's up, everybody? I am the hardest part of the ring, the host of the Apron Bump podcast. Ugh. Another wrestling podcast. How many times can I listen to fans tell me who needs a push, who doesn't need a push, who brings Vince's coffee these days? Enough! The Apron Bump is about the journey. It's about nostalgia. It's about discovering new forms of wrestling to really tickle your pickle as a wrestling fan. The podcast brings you reviews of wrestling events all over the world, whether it's WWF, WWE, WCW, ECW. We even cover the golden eras of Ring of Honor, Progress, TNA, and more promotions in the future as well. New episodes every Wednesday. Bump Day, yeah? Go to apronbump.com or go to your favorite podcast platform or YouTube and subscribe today for the most diverse, fan-friendly wrestling podcast in the world. I'm Hard.
Event marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/main event marks.
We're back. Unfortunately.
Backstage, Crystal is standing by with Samoa Joe, who says that he revels in Kurt Angle's pain. He says finally tonight he will take Kurt's world titles and take everything away from him. So, all right. So I'm going to point out this is Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. Supposedly, this is for the TNA World Heavyweight Title, IWGP World Heavyweight Title, X Division or TNA X Division Title, and TNA World Tag Team Titles. It goes about 18 and a half minutes. I say supposedly.
I think you got it all.
Well, right. Well, I say supposedly because technically the IWGP title isn't really on the line here. Whether they want you to know that or not. I think it's
legally allowed to be.
Right. And which is why when they show it, it's kind of hiding behind the TNA World title on the table.
Now, Russo in the past has done this to New Japan. Had a title change with title when they weren't supposed to. Do you remember that?
Yep. Didn't he give it to Hoovy?
Yep.
Yeah, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. Yeah, that was.
Lo and behold, he's in the same situation about 8 years later.
That went over like a lead balloon. Yep. Good stuff, pal. About a minute or so into this one, Karen Angle comes out to sit at ringside with the new man in her life. When Kurt confronts her at one point, she throws her champagne. She throws her champagne in Kurt's face. This wasn't a DQ for reasons. The ref's really letting him go here. The ref gets bumped at one point, and Joe locks Kurt in a third coquina clutch, which he taps out to, but it does no good. Angle low blows Joe, and Karen brings Joe a chair, but when Joe reaches for the chair, no! Karen pulls it back, and then slides it. Oh my God! What the hell just happened? I know. Who would have guessed? But Kurt blasts Joe with a chair, and he pins him to win all the titles. Wow. Uncle Dave gives this 3 1/4 stars. I give it an even 3. Not one of their best. What say you?
I gave it 2, and I was like, man, they've had so many better ones. That's why I gave it a low score.
Yeah.
I know what you two are capable of, even on your off nights.
Yeah, this is something. I don't know, man. Like
these are pretty much the 2 best wrestlers on the planet Earth at this really point right here.
And this whole pay-per-view, was so bad it brought them down. That's sad, man. That's pretty sad. But like I said, after the match, commentary loses their mind about how angry they are with Karen Angle. Hey, keep that energy, folks, because she really would turn her back on Kurt and go with another man in a few years. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, but you know what? It works out for everybody, so it's fine.
Yeah, right. I don't think Kurt's losing sleep over it. Karen and the
Some
other
might
guys...
argue traded up, but anyways.
Wow. At the very least, laterally. Very least. But Karen and the other guy celebrate in the ring with Kurt as he gets his 100 title belts draped over his shoulders and the show comes to a close. Oh, man. I think we're going to take our next break here. When we come back, it is final ratings time. We're going to tell you what's coming up next week on the podcast right after this. Follow the Main Event Marks at facebook.com/Main Event Marks Pod, on Twitter at Main Event _Marks, and on Instagram at Main Event _Marks and at Main Event Collector.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Thomas, and what's your name?
I'm Alan. Yeah. We're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah. Same mother and father.
Your room was...
we shared a room.
Shared a room.
We shared a room.
Thought I knew your face.
Yeah, we go way back, mate. Yeah.
We should do a podcast then.
We have.
We do a podcast.
We do a podcast.
What's it called?
The
Broadcast.
Yeah, that was planned.
Yeah. Well,
what do we do?
Well, we cover all different things in the world of pop culture. We're talking about comic books, we're talking about professional wrestling, and we're talking about movies. Go back and watch classic retro wrestling events, the likes of WWE, WCW, and if you do like that, you can check us out on Apple iTunes, also on Podbean, Anchor, and on Podknife. Also check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast. That's BROKAST. There. Nearly stuffed up the ending.
Hey, it's all right. Good on you.
Yeah. Instagram also at The Broadcast Podcast.
Remember, we don't spell it with a C. We spell it with a K.
Sorry, mate.
Take it easy.
The Main Event Marks are available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find all of our links on our link tree at linktr.ee/Main Event Marks. And we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Final ratings time.
I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, well, hey, listen to us. Don't waste your time watching this. So you can get more entertained by listening to us than you can by watching this thing. Trust me on that.
I mean, nice guys, we slit our wrists just for you.
Good grief. Hey, we watch a lot of crap for you people, all right? So we watch it so you don't have to. Internet Movie Database gave this thing 6.5 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 4 out of 10. CageMatch.net gave it 4 out of 10. I gave it 6.5 out of 10. B, no buys. What say you?
So you're telling me it passed? It's gonna graduate.
Oh my gosh!
I gave it an L.
Yeah, this is definitely. I'd have to go back. I think was it Destination X? Was that the one that was really bad? I know we've reviewed like one other that was.
Yeah, that was
crummy.
bad. I know the Summerversary was decent. What was May? Which one you said was bad? Destination X was March. April was lockdown. What's May? Was that
Sacrifice?
Sacrifice. Yeah, that one was bad too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there were some that they're not first round draft picks, but man, this one was awful.
This one's an undrafted. Forget him. Send him home pick.
Yeah, this one's like, why are you? It's like, how did you make it out of? Like how did you make it onto the lineup? It's like they subjected people to this. They made people pay money for this.
Yes, they didn't make anybody do anything. This was on their own accord.
Well, that's true, but
feed your dog or cat or whatever that is.
Good Lord. That's they tricked 25,000 people into buying this abomination. But yeah, I'm sorry, you cannot throw Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe on the marquee and just be like, it's good enough. Especially when the match ends up the way that one ended up. So, but either way, next week, I promise, next week will be so much better. Next week, August 17th.
I'm going to tell you one better. I promise the rest of this month is going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a stinker on the rest of the month. Then again, I have not watched back.
The week after next might be questionable, but it's still going to be better than this.
Yeah, I haven't watched the 2 WCW shows we got coming up on Double Main Event Week yet.
Yeah, full disclosure, I have not watched the Clash of the Champions, but I'm done with everything else.
Okay. Well, next week is our second of 3 SummerSlams. Our next 2 SummerSlams are actually 10 years apart. So next week we are going to be bringing.
Troy is a OCD maniac.
Well, this is a 30-year anniversary. This is a very special one, especially with Clash at the Castle?
Yeah.
Coming up, as you mentioned at the top of the show here. It's WWF SummerSlam 1992. It's the first and last SummerSlam to ever be aired on delay. And it was a good show. I mean, I'm not going to say top to bottom it was great, but it was definitely worth a watch. I had fun watching it.
It's not a piece of garbage. It's very memorable. Considering what we just did today, it was good.
Considering what we just did today, it's a masterpiece. Hogan is not on the show. I'll say that.
The first SummerSlam ever without him.
Right. Yeah, the two guys. Oh, and the world title does not close the show.
Also going to say it's the last ever SummerSlam for the Ultimate Warrior. Kind of sort.
Yeah, it's a big show. A lot of things in flux here. A lot of things changing. Ric Flair would be out the door here before the next SummerSlam as well. He plays a part in this one. He's not in a match, but he plays a part
before
in
another world title reign.
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of things going on here. I'm excited to talk about it. There's I already got the news compiled. It's an interesting time.
Fun watching it back.
Yeah, I did too. I love that era. 1992 was a weird time in wrestling. A lot of cool things going on. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about.
I think 1982 may be the very definition of hit or miss.
Yeah, right. Bill Watts is running wild in WCW at this time, so that's in the news, and so get ready for that. Good Lord.
Over soon.
But all right, man, that does it for today. Thank you for joining me for this one.
Yeah.
But we'll see you all next week for SummerSlam 1992 from England.